I am excited to welcome in someone who's probably going all in on robots more than anyone else, launching an ETF that is focused exclusively on the humanoid robot trend. Dave Mazza, CEO of Roundhill Investments. Pleasure to have you on the show, Dave. Thanks for making time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, look, the whole game, 6 degrees of separation with Kevin Bacon. I think it's 1 degree of separation. Gav Blacksburg connected us from Wolf Financial, was really happy about that. I see what you're doing, really innovative, and you've come out of the ETF world working for some of the biggest names to found Roundhill, which is doing nothing but innovative things. Tell us about the humanoid robot ETF that you launched. The ticker is HUMN.
Yeah, so we thought that there was an opportunity as we think about the growth of AI, particularly now moving towards what some have called embodied intelligence with humanoid robotics. And so we took advantage of this to launch Human. And the idea is creating a precise, relatively concentrated portfolio at companies that are at the tip of the spear with humanoid robotics. So these are names that are really... again,
does your humanoid robot dog have a name that we can refer to?
Yeah, there's 2 of them. Chloe and Baron. So it looks like they're having some fun right now.
I love it, man. For that. No, all good. Tip of the spear. Explain that for people, because if I look at the holdings in your ETF, they're distinctly different from all the other robotics and automation ETFs out there. Most of them are international in your top 10. So you have Tesla and NVIDIA. But then I go down the list, I see Korean names, Japanese names. Tell me that decision there. Why that decision?
Well, there's really twofold points. So one is that, yeah, there's actually existing robotics ETF in the market, some of which have been around for some time. And that's all well and good. But similar to what we saw with the AI revolution, which is happening now, the best performance is coming from companies that are doing generative AI, that kind of next leg. And so, so we actually saw the same thing with robotics, where, again, there's a lot of companies that are in market that have revenue coming from making an arm that's used in a factory or something of that around that nature. The idea here is if we think about where that next leg is coming from, which is humanoids, that there needs to be an opportunity for investors to take advantage of that. But at the same time, to answer the second part of your question, this is a global phenomenon. Everyone thinks really Optimus, right? Because of what Tesla sort of has put out in market. Of course, over the weekend, we see videos of Tesla serving popcorn, and people can begin thinking about either best or worst case scenarios and things of that nature. Of course, actually Boston Dynamics Atlas for years, they've been sharing incredible videos about what their humanoids have done, and now they've made massive leaps and bounds from a dog-like robot now to a humanoid robot. But this is happening globally. And then with the bifurcation that we're seeing with technology between really the East and the West. So if we want to, be blunt about it, US versus China, there are companies in China that are in market with robots now. And there's a lot more coming. And so that's why we decided to have kind of such a healthy weight from that point of view.
No, and look, I think that's an important distinction you bring out. I mean, I've always said it here as an analyst on the show. I have a very good way to get an edge in the US, but when I get into international markets, if I don't know those players, it's really hard. Not to mention it's hard to get exposure there. So when you get your top 10 holdings here and you look at this, you have 4 companies that are China-based, 2 from Korea, 1 from Japan. Generating revenue. I would encourage people too to go to your website, because you have a great blog post that steps through the different robots, because everyone just thinks Tesla and Optimus, the other ones that are out there that are actually, like you said, commercialized. So let me ask you another thing too, because I always think this is important with ETFs. They all have these kind of what I seem to be is not dynamic enough adjustments. They adjust based upon an index once a year or twice a year. How are you bringing in new companies time to time into the portfolio so that this is a truly actively managed robotics portfolio?
Yeah, so this ETF follows a similar process that we use with our generative AI ETF or GLP-1 and weight loss ETF. And the idea is taking kind of a quantitative plus qualitative approach. So to your point, and I've worked in ETFs for a long time and a variety of ETF issuers. When we're thinking about themes that are incredibly nascent or emerging, like humanoid robotics, and we believe it's going to happen a lot quicker than some predict, but that are happening now that aren't really like cybersecurity, for example. Perhaps maybe with an index there, that's fine. It might work great because you can just do revenue screens. It doesn't work well, in my opinion, from my experience, for something like generative AI, and particularly now with humanoid robotics. And so we first screen the universe of companies based off of natural language processing to see what companies are talking about keywords that we have done around humanoid robotics. That basically takes a huge universe of securities and starts cutting that down.
And how many analysts that you have working on your team? I want people to know the power of employing an active managed ETF as you're multiplying your abilities.
Yeah, so our investment committee has 5 individuals, 3 of which are also portfolio managers, and then 2 additional folks who are analysts. Then we actually take the universe and sort of have coverage of those particular areas and sort of debate whether a name, particularly in humanoid robotics, and I'm not trying to say it's easier, but there's only so many companies, in my opinion, that are credible in the space. So you can start kind of getting rid of names, right? So auto manufacturers are a great example. We own them in this portfolio because there are many examples, whether it's Mercedes-Benz and BMW, who are beginning to use humanoid robotics sort of in their on their production lines already. But we're not going to own any particular auto company if they're not really doing it. So that's, to your point, really the requirement.
So it's they have to have meaningful revenue or meaningful product roadmap that's going to get them into humanoid roadmap.
Exactly,
okay.
or a credible pipeline that sort of we know it's coming, because technically Optimus is here, but it's not really here. But Tesla's the largest weight in the portfolio for good reason, because of what we believe they're going to do to be able to leverage their scale to then scale up a humanoid robot relatively quickly. So yeah, that you need to have a meaningful portion of your existing revenue. The Chinese companies are examples that are commercialized already, or have sort of a connectivity to be able to make that happen in a short period of time.
Yeah, so last question I want to ask relates to kind of just how do you compress the timeline for mass adoption of humanoid robots? I look at it and say, drive down the cost and increase the capability of AI, so it makes it easier to impute intelligence into these quicker, but then also demographic trends, right? We have aging populations, so you need labor replacement. I mean, do you see the world the same way? Is there another variable that could really accelerate the adoption of robots faster than people might think?
Yeah, so it's interesting. So let's take one of the parts of your question first. So really humanoid robotics, and one of the reasons why there's huge long-term TAMs are coming from those 2 areas. One, you can maybe build something that was bipedal, looked like a human, but it didn't really work until the advancements we've had in large language models with AI, particularly, powered often by, or most often by NVIDIA. And from that point of view, it then sort of begins to make the cost of production significantly lower. But at the same time, there's these huge challenges that we face and the globe faces around 3 types of work. And I call them the 3 Ds of labor, right? So it's dull work, sort of very repetitive work that's sort of easy to sort of be systematized. Then you have dangerous work, maybe going into places that are extremely hot or unsafe. Then you just have dirty work that people don't want to do, even if, unless the pay is astronomically high to do it, because it is dangerous. So humanoid robots, I think, are going to help accelerate the need for labor in those areas. If you look at today, there's 450,000 logistics jobs in the US alone that are unfilled.
Yeah.
Because even though obviously we want more, anyone I think would want more people to have jobs and work, they're unfilled. They're hard to fill because people don't necessarily want to do that work, and a humanoid robotic may be able to do it, and do it perhaps even better than a human could do, should they want to do that.
Yeah, I love that simplification of dull, dirty, and dangerous. That really just quantifies or qualifies what this opportunity is here. There's a definite market need that keeps getting bigger. I think, again, I do this a bit in jest, where I'm a little bit negative or skeptical on humanoid robots. I've always been an early tech guy. I think this is a huge trend. I like to play them through ETFs, so I love that you launched this ETF. People might not realize it's in the last month. It's a great way to get broad exposure to the names of the movers and shakers that are actually commercializing humanoid robots in an easy format. So Dave, I want to thank you for your time. I would love to have you on the show again later as this trend starts playing out and really kicks in the high gear. But I encourage everyone, check out Roundhill Investments, check out HUMN, the ETF. And Dave, thank you again for joining us.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me.
All right.